sick to death of my hair.
Beep, boop, ba-doop, ba-doo, ba-doop, boop.
Was honestly going to just shave it all off today, but I couldn't find the shaver buzzer thing. Okay, as promised, I'm doing a video of the F/F, or lesfic women loving women romance, queer women romance, queer women in love, whatever you want to call it. And okay, I read 7 books in 2018 that were romance novels featuring 2 women, and I didn't like a single one of them. I didn't enjoy any of these. So let's just go into it, I guess. First off, we have Blurred Lines by Katie Williamson. I honestly didn't get very far in this book at all before I tossed it. 2 characters, one was a cop, one was a doctor, and the premise is that the cop gets shot and the doctor is taking care of her, and so she's stuck in the hospital for a long time, and then cop and doctor are into each other. But the cop character's personality was horrific. She likes to mess with people, especially people she's attracted to, in a very similar way to like a little boy pulling a little girl's pigtails because he likes her. And it's written as if this is supposed to be charming, that she like intentionally like is inappropriate and disrupts the doctor's life and like makes a fool of her in front of like her students. I could not stand it. Like I got just a little ways in and I was just like, this is gross. Like you're bullying her. You are, harassing this woman and we're supposed to think it's flirting. No thanks. I've read books with straight male characters who do that to women characters. One of my favorite book series right now is a cozy mystery series. The woman is a baker and a witch, and she also solves crimes. The first book, one of her 2 male love interests just shows up at her bakery and is like, you're gonna go out with me someday. And she's like, no, I'm not. And he continues to harass her. Like, he just, like, shows up all the time and just calls her all the time and is, like, harassing her. And, like, that's not appealing. I don't care what gender it is. That is not something I find attractive. So, there's that one. The next one is The Housing Crisis by Kate McLay, I believe is how you say that. I read the entire thing, but I thought the title was weird because it has nothing to do with a housing crisis. It's about, like, 2 college girls who are roommates, and, like, one of them is really sheltered, and the other girl is, like, an out lesbian. It was extremely slow going, and they didn't really have any sort of flirtationship, really. Like, there were maybe teeny-weeny hints, or, like, the lesbian character thinking that the sheltered girl was, like, attractive, but then being like, she's my roommate, I'm not gonna go there. That was all there was, and then, like, the sheltered girl, like, wakes up in the middle of the night from this dream where she's, like, having lesbian sex with her roommate, and she's like, oh my gosh, that was hot. And then she, like, goes out in the living room and is like, do you want to have sex? And just, like, strips naked and they start fucking. Then they're dating, I guess, from then on. And I remember being like, what? Like, no, thank you. Yeah, I don't really remember that. I don't even remember that one enough to really talk about it, except being baffled. The Ice Princess's Fair Illusion by Lynn E. Okanacht. I love the cover of this book. It looks like lesbian Elsa. I followed this girl on Twitter. I don't know how I followed her for so long and didn't pick up on the fact that she writes poetry, like novels in verse, which I am not a big fan of poetry, so like I bought this and I was so excited, and then I was like, this is a poem. I didn't finish it. I don't really like poetry.
Reading it on my phone in the ebook version made it even harder because the line breaks weren't really how they should have appeared.
Learning Curves by Celie Simkis, I believe. This one was a little bit awkward because I didn't realize this author followed me, and then I posted it on Goodreads, and then she was like, oh, you're reading my book, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really enjoying your book, shit. Crap. Don't follow me. It's sweet. It's, again, about 2 college girls, or college-age girls. I don't super remember the plot because I didn't engage with anything in it. Yeah, they're like 2 college-age girls, and they have this really sweet little relationship happening. I remember one thing that did stand out to me that I loved was one girl's family is coming into town, and her cousins are staying with her, and they like take advantage of her and just like trash her house, and they like are super loud and making everything like a crazy party. You know, it was this big stressful thing. And the girlfriend like comes in and she's like, you're not going to do this. And she's like, you are going to respect your cousin. And then she like called the girl's mom and like handled the situation, and then like went and took care of her girlfriend. And I loved that scene. I was just like, that's so good. But like the rest of the story, their relationship kind of starts with no fanfare at all. They just kind of start dating, and their relationship is just kind of nice. And I mean that's not like bad or anything, but it's not good either. Irregular Heartbeat by Chris Zett. I am actually not finished with this one, but I don't think I'm going to, because I just don't care about this book. The beginning of this book was really, I liked this book in the beginning. They're both doctors, and this woman has not been practicing medicine for many years because like her backstory is kind of like a secret in the book, so I don't want to tell you what it is, but she had something happen in her life that like made her like take time off work, and she's been trying to keep up her studies and stuff, but she hasn't been practicing medicine for years. So she applies to work at this hospital, and they accept her, and she's like it's very like high stakes for her, because this is one of the few places that accepted a doctor who hasn't practiced in like 6 years or something. I don't remember how long it is. So like she's like, I want to do good at this job. And she has to start out on like the bottom rung because she doesn't have the experience, and she's like, I'm gonna work for this, and I'm gonna like prove myself. But her boss, the other woman, is known for being like a harsh taskmaster. Like she's a very stern person. She like is very by the book. She pushes her doctors to like overwork themselves almost. Like she's almost like people, like she has sort of like this ice queen demeanor thing going on, but it's just like she's just very professional and focused and wants everything to be like a certain way. And so she's very intimidating and very like challenging to new people. So you have this nice conflict, right? Where like the girl is like really trying to prove herself, and then the one who's like an obstacle in and of herself, like in the workplace. And then as they work together and they see each other in different situations, like the girl who's very like strict and by the book starts like opening up a little bit more and like letting down those walls, and then the girl who's like trying really hard, like finally gets to like express herself, and like it starts to work out, and like things are going somewhere, and I was like, yeah, yes. One problem this book has is that the defining personality of one of them is this very strict, no-nonsense professionalism, right? But whenever we read her chapters that are like from her perspective, her internal voice is nothing like her external persona, which is fine, but her internal voice sounds exactly like the other woman's. Like, their personalities, when all the walls are down, are very similar. So whenever they're not at work, I can't tell them apart. And usually whenever I'm reading books, I don't follow people's names very much, so I tend to just, I don't know why, I don't really remember names, especially if they have similar names or the first letter of the name is the same, I can't follow it. Like, there was an R. Cooper book where both of the characters had a first name starting with E, and I was confused for half that book. So, like, it'll start off a paragraph with, like, Diana did this, and I'm like, I don't remember which one is Diana, but her personality that she's exhibiting could be either one of them, because they're so similar. And, like, at first I appreciated the fact that, like, one character had this very rigid external shell, and then on the inside was, like, a very different person. I thought that was interesting for a character, but she was so similar to the other one that there was nothing there. The other problem is that the main reason why they can't be together is that they work together, and the more professional woman doesn't think it would be a good idea. I get that, but after they've made out, gone on dates, and etc., it starts just sounding very hollow. Like, they've already made out, they've already, like, gone out, I think they even have sex or something, I don't know. They're already kind of having this relationship, but they're like, no, we can't be together, and, like, they make a point that it's not against their, like, company policy or anything, she just doesn't think it's a smart idea. So it's really hard for me to buy this, like, no, we can't be together, when they are being together a lot, and then that's your only reason? is that you kind of think it's not a good idea. Okay, so the struggle that they have to be together is not compelling. Their characters are not compelling because they basically have the same personality.
What else is there?
The last one on our list, The Better to Kiss You With by Michelle Osgood. I really like this book. I genuinely like this book. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a romance novel.
It's a romance publisher. Goodreads says it's a romance. As far as I know, this is supposed to be a romance novel.
A lot of the plot focuses on like the mystery aspect of it.
And the action fell flat because the characters are never actually in any real danger, because you know that these characters are going to come out of this okay and have a happily ever after.
Okay, so what's happening in this book? One girl is a moderator for a game that is kind of like Pokemon Go. It's like an augmented reality game where everyone pretends to be werewolves. Each person who plays the game is a werewolf, and then they have to like stake out their territory, that kind of thing. So she does that, and she's like dealing with werewolf fans and stuff, and then she meets a real werewolf who is the other girl. But she doesn't know it at first, although anyone who read the back blurb does. She gets all these like creepy stalker messages and threats in the mail from like somebody who she kept banning from the forums because he just kept like harassing people. And he claims to be a real werewolf and says that he's gonna like kill all of them because they're like disrespecting the werewolf name. The girl she's dating turns out to be a werewolf and is like, listen, I think this guy is serious and we should be concerned. So from there, it becomes this kind of, not really action, but not really thriller either, but it just becomes this plot about like keeping her safe, trying to figure out who it is, protecting the people involved. That's all great. It's interesting. I liked reading it. Not a romance novel. The relationship between the two women is nice. They go on a date. It's cute. They go on another date. It's nice. I don't know what to say. You don't come away from reading this with your heart in your throat being like, oh my gosh, these two are so wonderful. I love these characters and I'm so glad they're together. And you don't get that from any of these books I've mentioned.
I had to cut this video down from like 40 minutes because I was trying to tie it into this project I've been working on where I analyze queer romance novels. But that project isn't actually finished yet, and I didn't feel comfortable sharing all of my thoughts whenever I wasn't actually done with the research. Sorry, guys.
And I had to figure out how to make graphs on Excel to make graphs for this. You know it's serious whenever I actually like bust out Excel. This is not a happy video or a happy note to end this video on. It's 3 a.m. here. I'll keep reading them, and hopefully next time we have this conversation, I will have better news. Have a wonderful day, I guess.